weekend, we received numerous confirmed reports of federal agents from ICE and Customs and Border Patrol abusing their power, intimidating innocent civilians, and waging war on our people. All of this has been aimed at causing chaos and mayhem in the hopes of creating a pretext to deploy military troops against Chicago and Broadview and other suburbs, just as the president is doing right now in Oregon. Moments ago, the Illinois National Guard received word that the Department of Homeland Security has sent a memo to the Department of War seeking the deployment of 100 military troops to Illinois, claiming a need for the protection of ICE personnel and facilities. What I have been warning of is now being realized.
Hey guys, I'm back. So, you've seen that, you heard that. So, Broadview officials say ICE agents warned the mayor comments would bring consequences. This is from the Chicago Sunday Sun-Times. Village officials say Saturday that the federal agents warned Broadview police that there would be a show in response to Mayor Katrina Thompson's comments that ICE is making war on the community. This was at September 27th, 2025. This is in regards to what was going on over there at Broadview, Illinois. So you heard the Governor Pritzker's language. It's also pretty hyperbolic as well. His rhetoric is not helping the situation. This article goes on to say that Broadview officials said Saturday that their police department was warned by federal agents there would be a show in the west suburbs in response to Mayor Katrina Thompson's comments that ICE is, quote, making war on my community, end quote. Their comments came as for a second day in the row, federal agents lodged tear gas and other chemical irritants near protesters gathered outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Broadview. Agents fired pepper balls into the crowd, about 75 protesters Saturday evening, and made several arrests. Steve Held, a Chicago journalist, was one of those arrested. A Chicago Sun-Times reporter was struck by a rubber projectile and tear gas. Held is a co-founder of the Unraveled Press, which has been working with the digital outlet, The Tribe, and other independent media to cover protests at Broadview. Quote, it was shocking to see, but it was not shocking because they've been targeting us for days, end quote, said Raven Geary, a colleague of Held who was across the street when he was detained. Quote, they know that they're being watched. They know that they're secret police. They know that they're targeting reporters on purpose, end quote. Around 4:45 p.m., agents released a small amount of tear gas inside the gates of the ICE facility. It wasn't clear what promoted the release of the chemical irritant. The drifting smoke drove back the dozen or so protesters outside the facility. Minutes later, federal agents opened the gates to the facility and came out. As agents walked back inside the fenced area, one shoved a protester who lost his balance and fell. The man was handcuffed and taken inside. Several politicians, citing concerns about protester safety, urged the police Saturday to stay away from the ICE facility. Quote, as elected officials who have attended protests outside of the ICE processing facility in Broadview, we feel the urgency and responsibility to share our extreme concerns about escalating language and actions by ICE and Department of Homeland Security towards protesters. We have made the decision to not participate in tonight's protest. We would highly encourage people to consider the high risk that we believe exists in attending tonight's action and future actions at Broadview, end quote. Read a part of written statement signed by Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss, State Senator Robert Peters, Democrat Chicago, and Alderman Andre Vasquez, 40th. Separately, Governor Pritzker said, quote, whether it be in Broadview here in Illinois or in Portland, Oregon, the Trump administration is essentially creating chaos to threatening sending military troops to American cities and suburbs. The suggestion that the chemical agents like tear gas or pepper spray could be used indiscriminately against peaceful demonstrators or even first responders is unacceptable and not normal, end quote. This is coming from Governor Pritzker. You heard what he was saying earlier when the video first started. I just wanted to play additional video so you could kind of see what's actually going on over there. I was actually watching some live feeds from the protest that was happening and I want to put quotation for protest because there were people, for example, in one of the incidences, there was a person that had showed up with a knife. I know also a person who was having a concealed carry had a weapon on him as well. And that's why ICE was, looking for these people. This is also why they were doing, the tear gas and pepper spray, because you don't want to also put the ICE agents into danger either. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Ravi, Cheryl, this afternoon's news conference really was a joint effort organized by Governor J.B. Pritzker in an effort to push back on what he's calling an unconstitutional occupation of Chicago and surrounding suburbs by federal agents. The governor was joined by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, as well as Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson, and about a dozen or so other local leaders. It lasted well longer than an hour, this news conference, and just wrapped up in the last 30 minutes or so.
This is not about fighting crime or about public safety. This is about sowing fear and intimidation and division among Americans. It was about creating a pretext to send armed military troops into our communities. This is about consolidating power in Donald Trump's hands.
Governor J.B. Pritzker and his allies taking aim at the White House, referencing about a dozen specific incidents over the weekend in Broadview and downtown Chicago, including dozens of armed federal agents walking the sidewalks of some of the city's most famous streets. In addition to the stepped-up show of force, the governor also claims the Illinois National Guard received word this afternoon that the Department of Homeland Security sent a memo to the Department of War seeking the deployment of 100 military troops to Illinois.
The reality is that this stunt has nothing to do with public safety. This is about politics, money, and power. The president is using his militarized force the exact way he intended, to advance his political goals.
Both Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker highlighting the show of force by ICE in Broadview against protesters and journalists alike, including the use of chemical agents. In another incident seen at Millennium Park, agents appeared to detain a woman and multiple children. We blurred the children's faces. One couple visiting from Florida says they had just checked into their hotel room and were walking to Grant Park when they came across Border Patrol.
We walk around the corner there, and then 20 uniformed, armed, right there on the sidewalk, and I turned to her, and I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it."
Others we spoke to say the presence of federal law enforcement isn't necessary.
It was horrible. Why are you here even? Why are you here? We don't need you here.
Who knows how far he's going to try to go with this, but it's not a good time. It's scary. It's a scary time for everyone in the country.
And of course, all these people that they're interviewing, first of all, are white. Secondly, they're libtards, okay? If they actually went to the actual hood to, interview people that were, in the Black communities, that were in the Latin communities, I'm pretty sure in the areas where crime is running rampant, I'm pretty sure that they welcome this, I know, I, am originally from Chicago, and I don't have a problem with that. And again, if I saw the military there, it would not be a problem for me. First of all, I'd probably be really excited to see it. I probably would want to take photos with them, just in general. Whether they were there for immigration or any other reason, it would be just to see the power that they have, is the sign of power force that's around them. It emanates, and you just want to be like, hey, I want to take a picture with you guys, thank you for your service kind of deal. Thank you for protecting us, because not all of these illegals, okay, not all of them are bad, but if you're gonna break it down, there are people, because they all came over here through Biden's administration, they came over here unvetted. We don't know who's bad and who's good, which is why we have to find out. And I'm pretty sure the person that they were detaining at, Grant Park, I'm pretty sure that person, maybe fit the description that they had for the people that they're looking for. Would I be insulted if somebody stopped me because I look like, somebody they were looking for? No, because I know I'm a good person. I know I don't commit crimes. So I would just show them my identification. They would probably look me up in the system. They'll be like, okay, you're good to go, ma'am. And I'd be like, all right, cool. Have a nice day. Hope you find the person you're looking for. It's not even a problem. People that don't break the law don't care that you have a police force like that or a presence like that. You know, the people that only care about it are the people that want you to continue to vote blue. The people that care about this want to keep the Dems in power. They don't want you to have a voice. They don't live in your area. Okay, so most of these people, the ones that are coming from vacation, the ones that live on the north side, they don't live in areas that are riddled with crime. So they are the last people that should speak on behalf of the people that have to deal with this on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So I think what they're, you know, these people that they're interviewing is stupid. Why are you even letting these people talk? Because you just want to, you know, kind of sow that stuff that, you know, both Pritzker and Johnson are saying. You want to just say like, yeah, look, we found people and they agree with you. Like, no, dude, that's not how that works. That's not how news works. Okay, why don't you guys do your job, ABC 7 Chicago, and talk to a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds, from a bunch of different neighborhoods. And I'm pretty sure you would probably get a lot of different responses. And that's probably why you won't do it, because then it breaks up that narrative. I also have another video to show you guys as well. So this is also from CBS Chicago.
Hi, Marie. One by one, 5 defendants went before a judge during their first appearances today of those demonstrators who were arrested and charged here at Dirksen Federal Court. 2 of them are a couple, both of them accused of bringing loaded guns to an ICE protest. In the middle of Saturday's protests.
Wait, and didn't you hear that, right? Remember at the beginning that we were showing you, you heard like both Johnson and Pritzker say peaceful protests. You know, these are peaceful protesters. Well, why are you bringing weapons? What do you need them for? Like, you know, I'm all for the Second Amendment. More power to you. You have the right to carry. I have no problem with that. But you can't get mad if you get caught up, especially like, what were they doing? Were they threatening them? Is that why they got taken? Because I'm pretty sure if you're a law-abiding citizen, you don't have nothing to worry about. But let's keep going with the video.
DHS claimed 11 people were taken into custody. We captured video of some of those protesters being detained, though on the first day of business after those protests over at the Dirksen Federal Building, we found only 5 defendants facing federal charges for their actions at the Broadview Processing Center. Of those, a couple, Jocelyn Robledo and Ray Collins, who are engaged to be married, their attorney said. They were both charged with assault to a federal officer, though the government could not prove that Jocelyn was a reasonable threat to the public after she was charged for shoving a federal officer.
I'm sorry, you shoved a cop, you deserve to go to jail. I don't care who you are. You have no right to put your hands on any officer of the law. That's what you get. You effed around, now you're finding out. And I'm not going to boohoo and whine about these people. Like the fact that you had the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois saying and making excuses for these people saying they were peaceful protesting, this is actual proof that they weren't. And like I said, I was watching live stream. You know, shout out to Portland Andy. Y'all go follow him. He does these live streams for that. Honey Badger was there as well. I think it was Honey Badger Mama or something like that. She was there, so she was also doing live streams as well. But go ahead and follow these people. You know, you'll be able to watch the videos for yourself, and you'll see everything that was going down. That's the only reason why I knew about the whole thing where ICE was looking for people with knives, and they were also looking for people that, you know, had guns, which obviously these were the people that were part of that. So let's keep going.
They say she had a firearm on her, which was removed when she was detained. Her partner, Ray Collins, was ordered held until his next court date. He's accused of charging at federal officers. His attorney says he ran towards them when he saw the scuffle with his fiancée. Now, a judge ruled that Collins would be held in part because he said it was reckless to bring a loaded gun into a protest, although they both had valid FOID cards and were allowed to conceal carry. He did say for him that this was a close call. We'll have more on the remaining 3 protesters that appeared before a judge today coming up at 5. Live outside the Dirksen Federal Building,
So you see that, you hear that one. So let's go to the last video that I wanted to show you guys. This is also from ABC 7 Chicago. The anti-ICE protest continues at Broadview facility downtown Chicago as federal presence grows.
protesters and federal agents that we've seen at this Broadview ICE facility since it opened up. We're now here at 25th and Lexington, about 2 blocks away from Beach Street, which leads right up to that facility. We don't exactly know what led up to all of this. All we know is that protesters were up there on that metal fence doing their thing, chanting. Some of them were tapping on that fence when suddenly it opened up. Guards said something to the protesters before tossing out several canisters of tear gas. That is when they ran down the street, all of the protesters, as the guards followed them with, continuing to fire off pepper bullets, which some of those hit our photojournalist here, Jeff Freeman, at the time as we all tried to evacuate from the scene. They have since completely shut down that street leading up to the facility, and we have now moved away from that area. Now, all of this comes after the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, posted this morning saying there will be more resources being sent to Chicago. We have seen that in full force today as they have sent a message to protesters of no tolerance. Contentious moments continue between protesters and federal agents outside the ICE processing facility in Broadview. Today, a more forceful operation to control the crowd of protesters as Border Patrol agents arrived to the facility. Federal agents making it clear to protesters that they must clear the roads or they will be detained. Throughout the day, agents chased down some protesters and detained them while also coming out to take any kind of shields or umbrellas from the crowd. Protesters believe the use of force has gone too far.
We oppose this kind of authoritarianism that is invading our city and suburbs. It's not helping anyone.
Earlier today, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on social media directing more federal agents to ICE facilities across the country, including Chicago. After several escalations between protesters and federal agents over the last few weeks in Broadview, Bondi says there will be no tolerance moving forward.
More than 200 violent rioters were at a Chicago ICE facility chanting, "Arrest ICE, shoot ICE." At least one had a gun. We've seen this before. We saw it in Portland and with the LA riots. These are not peaceful protests. These are coordinated attacks by radical extremists, and they end now.
Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bavino also arrived to the Broadview facility today. He did not answer questions from reporters as he led operations on the ground. Crowd controlling measures like pepper bullets were deployed several times in an attempt to push protesters back. A local immigration lawyer was a part of that crowd today, as she says these federal agencies do not belong here.
All of these agencies are funded by taxpayer dollars, and they're being deputized for things that they're not authorized to do. And you know, that's a misuse of public funds. And I think protesters have every right to be out here.
Not one more!
Protesters also gathered in Chicago today to send the same message to the Trump administration, demanding an end to ICE operations. The group held a rally at Federal Plaza before marching through the streets of downtown. So everything is calm here once again. Like I said, that entire area remains shut down. They will not be allowing protesters or anyone else near that facility for the time being. Governor J.B. Pritzker also sharing a statement tonight about the federal escalation that we have seen here today, saying it's another effort by the Trump administration to intimidate people in Illinois, and he's urging people to remain calm in all of these situations and document everything. Well, this was the most...
You see that? You heard that, right? So you actually heard what Governor Pritzker said. So what this guy's saying, not true. Okay, he's not bringing down the temperature. And again, I'm going to state it like, even if I have to state it like 100 times to you guys, just so I can make sure you guys are understanding this. Okay, both Brandon Johnson and Pritzker are the ones that are not allowing Trump to come in and, you know, pick up the illegals that they're looking for. Remember, they were in Congress. They were in front of the Senate. They were being interviewed and they were being asked, you know, why are you pushing back? You know, why are you not listening to us? You know, we're telling you like, hey, here goes the documents, you know, here goes, you know, from the court order saying that we need to pick up this immigrant who's in your jail. And all we're asking is for you to hold on to them till we get there. What do they do? They let them go. And this is their fault, because had Pritzker, had Johnson just held on to those people, then ICE would just be going to the jails to pick up these people and deport them. These are bad people. These are not good people. These are not like your average, you know, nanita, okay? These are bad people, okay? Now, some of them, you're right. Some of them might not be bad, but they overstayed their welcome. And they knew that. And they broke the law. Sorry, goodbye. You know, if you break the law, that's what you get. Because if I break the law, guess what? I have to pay my fine if I got a ticket. I can't just be like, rip, I don't have to pay it because I don't want to. No, that's not how that works. You know, without laws, you would have nothing but full anarchy. So, no, we can't just pick and choose what laws we want to follow. These are the laws. Trump has every right to do this. All they're trying to do is take away all the illegals that came here illegally, the ones that broke the laws, the ones that already have in the system, who already have due process, who have these court orders telling them, you guys gotta go. The deportation papers. They just have to go and pick them up. And had both Johnson and Pritzker allowed, you know, the Trump administration just to go into the jails to pick up these people, they would not be going into the neighborhoods. The other last thing I want to kind of touch on is the fact that you notice how, like I said, these news outlets keep trying to push the narrative of peaceful protesters. Notice the fact that if you were a peaceful protester, why are you making threats to ICE, you know, agents? Why are you making threats to DHS? Why are you making threats to Homeland Security? Why are you shoving them? You know, that's not something that's peaceful. You making your voice heard, that's part of your right as an American. But you threatening somebody, you bringing weapons, that doesn't give you that right. That, at that point, you're breaking the law and you deserve to go to jail, okay? That's just how it is. You know, but those are my thoughts. You know, tell me what you guys think. Let me know if you guys hear anything else. You know, again, go to Portland Andy. You know, he does these lives in regards to these protests that are happening not only, you know, in Illinois, in Broadview, but also in Portland. You know, like, comment, and subscribe. And talk to you guys later. Bye.